Okay, welcome to this new video tutorial. Okay, in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to record, quote, analyze, and interpret survey data using Excel spreadsheet and generative AI. The tutorial is divided into 4 chapters. Chapter 1, I'll go through the steps on how to record and quote survey data using Excel spreadsheet. In Chapter 2, Uh, I'll go through the steps on how to analyze the survey data using pivot table, and then using some of the descriptive statistics to show you how data can be manipulated, organized to be used in your report. And in chapter 3, we look at how to visualize research data using Excel charts, how to format the charts and preparing them professionally before importing them into our research reports. And in chapter 4, we're going to use generative AI to analyze, interpret, and explain research data. With that, we'll move on to the first chapter, that is chapter 1, recording and putting survey data using Excel spreadsheet. In chapter 1, we're going to look at how we can give an ID to all the survey forms that we receive back from the research participants. So each survey form will need to get some sort of ID, a number. So let's say I have 50 survey forms that I received back from 50 participants. Then the survey form, I'm going to give a number, example 1. Okay, number 2 survey form, I'll give 2. Number 3 survey form, I'll give 3, all the way up to 50. So when you enter this in the Excel spreadsheet, it will look something like this. Okay. So you see this number 1 here in the ID column. That's column C. You have the ID and then all the ID numbers going down. So in this example, we're going to use only 8 survey forms just for practice purpose. So this number 1 here, number 1 ID represents this the first survey form that I received from the first participant. Okay, so I give 1. So second form, I'm going to give 2 and so on, all the way up to 50. It depends on how many participants survey forms you receive back from them. Okay. The same thing also applies to apps that you are using, like Microsoft Forms and Google Forms. However, those forms, they are automatically generated, so you don't need to do a lot of work. All you have to do is clean up the data for analyzing. But most of the uh, data entry is done by the apps themselves. So let's look at this survey result generated by Microsoft Forms. Listen. You see column A, you see all the IDs here. Those number 1 all the way up to 79 participants. So each participant is given a unique ID. Okay, that's the same thing that we're doing using the paper-based survey, which is popular in quantitative research. Okay. Okay, next thing we need to do after giving an ID to all the survey form is to code the responses. So all variables depends on how many variables you're using in your questions. For example, a question all the way one all the way down to question 11.2. So some questions will have the questions that leads to additional questions that require text-based responses. So those open-ended questions or those text-based questions, we'll just leave them out. We'll analyze them later. Okay. So you can organize your coding separately and later use the codes and enter them for all the responses. For example, variable number 1, which is gender, I gave 1 to male and 2 to female. So when we enter it in the spreadsheet, we know that 2 under this variable, this question here, we know that 1 is male and 2 is female. Okay, this second variable on province name, I decided to type all the questions, names of the provinces. However, you can leave it as an open-ended question, and the participant can write the name of the province or town. Okay, you can see here each province is given a unique code from 1 all the way to 20. So you do the same thing to all the variables, the responses to all those variables or questions, like question 3, 1 to 5, question 4 for this major area of study or program, okay, all the way to 20. Question 5, 1 for year 1, 2 for year 2, 3 for year 3, 4 for year 4. And do the same thing for this source of internet. You can give 1 to UPNG internet, 2 to my private internet data, 3 my friend's internet data, 4 my parents' internet data. So you code all these responses all the way to the last. So for open-ended questions, you leave them out. Like this question 8 has got 2 sub-questions here. So these sub-questions have open-ended questions, the text-based responses. So we'll just leave these type of questions out first. Question 9, very effective 1, effective 2, fairly effective 3, not effective 4. So it gives some sort of code, a number to each of those responses for all those questions that require coding. So those are very important in quantitative research. So in the next video, we'll show you how to analyze qualitative research data, which is text-based data. So we'll address those ones later. Okay. The next step is to enter all these numbers here into your spreadsheet. Okay. So you prepare your spreadsheet to record the data. Okay, this one here. So this ID 1 represents the PES survey form. So here we are analyzing 8 participants' survey forms. I mean the data that they completed. So all the variables are listed in row 7 from left to right, starting from personal information and then the variables that require the participants to complete. So row 7, those are the variables. Okay, so example, respondent 1, all his responses are on the left to right. Sorry, this is a female. Yeah, 2 for female. So all responses are from left to right to the last variable, like that. So in other words, you're entering the data for survey form number 1. Once you complete number 1, and then you move on to number 2, do the same. Enter all the codes that you entered for the responses for survey form number 2 from left to right, and survey form number 3 or ID 3, all the responses from left to right. Because when it comes to analyzing the data, Excel works very well with analyzing numbers. That's why we changed the text responses to numbers by our own codes. So when it comes to analyzing using Excel, it makes it easy. Okay. So here we're analyzing, like I said, we're analyzing only 8 survey forms or 8 participants completed survey forms. So it depends on in your research. If you have 100 survey forms, you need to complete all 100 survey forms. So you give number 1 all the way to 100, like that, or any numbering system that you want to use. Okay. So in comparison to Google Form and Microsoft Form or SurveyMonkey or any other apps that you're using for your survey, those apps, they automatically generate the data, but when you import the data to work with, you need to clean up the data, okay, before analyzing them. Like this one here, you code give a code to female, male, the gender there, like we did for the paper-based survey. Deleting unnecessary columns that are blank. So you need to clean up this data before you analyze. Okay, especially when you're using those survey apps like SurveyMonkey, Google Forms, Microsoft Forms. Okay, so that's it. We'll stop here and then we'll continue to move to the next stage, which is chapter 2. And hope this chapter 1 has given you some ideas on how to analyze your survey data before you enter them into the spreadsheet for analyzing. Okay? Okay, in this chapter I'm going to go through the steps of how to insert a pivot table and using the pivot table to analyze this data using descriptive statistics. So first thing I'm going to do is to click somewhere in one of the cells that contain the data, and then I'm going to click on insert and then I'm going to click on table, and then I'll click OK. So all the cells here are converted into an Excel table. Okay. So the next thing to do is click in one of the cells again. Okay. Doesn't matter which cell you're going to click on, as long as one of the cells within this table. And then I'm going to click on Insert and then Pivot Table. Okay. So Insert. Click below here and click on From Table Range. Okay. Now you can see the entire Excel table is selected. Now you have two options of placing your pivot table. Can be in a new worksheet or existing worksheet, the current one here. Okay, I'm going to go for the first one, which is new worksheet, and then I'm going to click OK. Alright. Now on the left side is where you're going to build your or analyze the data. On the right side is where you're going to select the data for analyzing. Okay, so if you click here, you can analyze one variable or one constant at a time. Okay, so let's say I want to analyze variable number 3 or constant 3. So simply click on constant 3 and then press your left mouse down on constant 3 and then you drag it down to rows below that. So drag Q3 down and drop it into rows. Okay, as soon as you drop constant 3 into rows, then you can see the data popping up on the left side here, as you can see. Now below row levels you see the responses. Remember the code that we get to each response. So if we go to our survey form, this is question 3. Question 3. This is the question: how useful do you find Piazza as an online learning platform or learning management system? Please tick or click in the checkbox. So we have these 4 responses here. Very useful. You give a code of 1, or we give a code of 1. Useful 2. Fairly useful 3. Not useful 4. So if you look at the entry that we put on the pivot in the pivot table, you see that 4 is not included because nobody selected or nobody responded to this by selecting number 4, not useful. Okay. Okay. So next thing we need to do is click in one of the cells where below sum of Q3 or constant 3. So click in one of the cells and then right click and then point your mouse on value field settings. Value field settings. Just click on that. Okay. Okay, all these descriptive statistics here. So look for count and click on it to select. So I'm going to click on count. Okay, and then I'll click OK. Okay. Right. So you can see sum of question 3 is now changed to count of question 3. Okay. So the next step is to change these numbers here into the responses. So this one here we need to change it into text. So go back to your survey again. So question 3, this code 1 stands for very useful. So go back and then type very useful instead of 1, or to replace 1. Very useful. Okay, 2 is useful and 3 is fairly useful. Okay. Okay, the next step is we're going to convert this one into percentages. So we come down to the empty space in the spreadsheet, and we're going to type these responses here. So I'm going to type very useful, and fairly useful, and not useful. Remember, nobody selected not useful, so but for the sake of putting everything on the chart, we need to enter it here to make it look neat and completed. Okay. Okay, in column D, next to each responses, we're going to type the formula. So depends on how many participants you have, the survey forms that you received. If your total is 100, then you're going to divide it by 100, which is the total. Okay, in this example, we have only 8 participants, so the total is 8. Okay, so I'm going to type this simple formula here, equals 5 divided by 8. Okay, press enter. Okay, do the same thing to useful, equals 2. Okay, this one here, 2 divided by 8. Press enter. Okay, that you type 1 equals 1 divided by 8. And the last one equals 0 divided by 8. Alright. Okay, the next step is to select the O range here, and then we're going to convert these decimal numbers into percentage. So as soon as you select all the decimal numbers here, you go up here and look for the percentage symbol, this one here. All you have to do is click on it, and all these decimal numbers will be converted into percentage. Okay, here we go. Okay, now they are now converted into percentages. Okay. Alright, we'll stop here. In the next chapter, I'm going to show you how to create a chart and format a chart using this data here. Okay. Alright, thank you for being with me throughout this chapter. So we'll stop here and we'll continue in the next chapter. Okay, in this chapter, we'll continue where we left off. This time, I'm going to show you how to quickly create a chart and then format it and studying it up before importing it into your research report. Okay. So first thing you need to do is select all the data. Okay, from this question tree data that we converted from this one to percentages. So after selecting the data, you go to insert and then select the right type of chart for your for this particular question here. So I'm going to click here and then select this simple column chart here, 2D column chart. So click on it. And now we have a chart already inserted into the spreadsheet. Okay. So the next thing we need to do is to format the chart and make it look neat before we import it into a research report. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to type the chart title, or I can simply delete it off. Okay. So delete this one off. All right. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and click add data labels. Okay. So each column now is a label with the percentages. Okay. Now for some researchers, they might want to put the vertical headings here and the horizontal. But in this example, we'll just leave them out. So I'm going to delete these grid lines. So right click, click delete. So all grid lines are gone. And then if I want to change the color of the columns, then I'll simply click on it or keep clicking until I select the single column. Okay. And then I can go there or just right click and then select the fill color. Now let's say I want something that is not too bright. So Gaussian taxon. Right, I might want to use this gray color. Okay. It's up to you what type of color you want to, or your favorite color that you want to add to your chart. But make sure it is not too fancy or too bright. Okay. All right. You can format the vertical axis or horizontal axis if you want. But let's say that I'm satisfied with this chart, so just right click and then I'll click copy. I click right clicking in the right place until you see the pop-up menu with the word copy. So you click on it. Okay, so open your research report and then go to the section where you want to uh, paste your chart in. So my chart will come under this heading here. Usefulness of Piaget as a blended learning tool. All right. So I'm going to, I can right click or click on paste and then it should go in. There you go. And then I can resize it. And then depends on what, if I want to add the figure, You might type something like this. Example figure 4. Example usefulness of Piaget. Okay, there you are. So from there you can interpret the data and then write your interpretation here or discuss the result. Okay. So I'll stop here, and in the panel chapter, I'm going to show you how to use generative AI to quickly analyze and interpret the data and even give explanation. Okay. So we'll go to the next chapter, the panel chapter. Okay, in the panel part of this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use generative AI to analyze and explain the research findings or results. So you can use any generative AI tool, but in this example, I'm going to use DeepSeek. And then the first thing you need to do is to type your prompt, including giving the persona or role to the AI. So in this prompt here, I instruct the AI to act as a university lecturer. The reason is the AI will perform at that level and then give the right feedback to you. Okay, the other important parts of the form, including the question on the survey questionnaire, including the ratings, very useful, useful, fairly useful, not useful. And then you give the panel instruction to the AI to limit the result to bullet points. The reason I put this part of the form is to make sure that AI does not do all the work for you. If you allow this to be, if you allow this one to be uh, open for the AI to analyze and explain the result, the AI might end up giving all the full detailed analysis and explanation for you. So in the end, you won't be doing much. So you need to give a clear instruction to the AI to uh, just at least give some sort of outline of the explanation so that when you write your discussions or paragraphs in your report, most of the work will be yours and not generated by AI from the beginning to the end. Okay? And the last important part is the reference. You need to direct the AI to refer to the reference document that you want the AI to extract the information from to analyze and explain your research uh, data. So I put this little instruction here, refer to the Excel file that contains the results. So I already uploaded the Excel file. So it's very important to remove all the other sheets on your Excel file and only the sheet that contains your results. So here we have Q3 for question 3 on your survey form, and that sheet Q3 as the the chart and the pivot table that contains the results. Okay, so that's only thing that you need to include in your spreadsheet. Don't leave the other worksheets there because it will confuse the AI. No? Okay. Well, after you are satisfied with the form, then you click on the submit button. So before I submit, click on the submit button, I'm going to read the form again. Okay. You're a university lecturer. You're teaching your students how to analyze research data. You want to interpret the result for this question or variable. Question 3.0. How useful do you find Piaget as an online learning platform, okay, or learning management system, LMS? Please tick or click in the checkbox. Here are the ratings. Very useful, useful, fairly useful, and not useful. Here to interpret and explain the results and list the results using bullet points for easy understanding. Refer to the Excel file that contains the results. So this is the Excel file, Piaget Q3. Okay, I'm going to click on the submit button on the right hand side, the arrow pointing upwards. I'm going to click on that and let the AI analyze and interpret the results for me. Okay. So one good thing about the DeepSeek is that it gives a very detailed explanation how it is processing the data, step-by-step explanation on how it does that. Okay. 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 DeepSeek is doing a good job. Yeah, it is explaining how the steps that it follows to interpret and or analyze and interpret the data. Okay. And here the bullet points of the main points that it extracted from the data. Okay. Total responses, breakdown of each category with counts and percentages. Highlight the dominance of positive responses. Note the absence of negative feedback. Mention sample size limitations if necessary. Okay. And then when it comes down, it gives the interpretation of the results for question 3. The following analysis is based on the data provided in Piaget question 3. File for the question. How useful do you find Piaget as an online learning platform or learning management system? Total respondents 8. That's the grand total. Now, depends on your survey. It could be more than 8, like 20, 100, 300. Depends on your result. Or, I mean, the participants that you engage in your survey. Okay, response distribution, very useful. Type respondents, that's 62.5% of total. Useful, 2 respondents, 25% of total. Fairly useful, 1 respondent, 12.5% of total. Not useful, 0 respondents, that's 0% of total. So key takeaways from the analysis, overwhelmingly positive feedback, 87.5% of respondents, 7 out of 8 rated Piaget as either very useful or useful, indicating strong satisfaction. Dominance of very useful. The majority, 62.5%, selected the highest satisfaction tier, highlighting Piaget's effectiveness as an LMS. No negative feedback. None of the respondents found Piaget not useful. suggesting minimal dissatisfaction. Okay, the part of the results presented by ChatGPT is this one. Interpretation of survey results for question 3. Okay, this is the one that you're going to copy and paste it into a Word document. Okay, including this one, key takeaways. So I'm going to select this section here. Down to here. Right click and click copy. Get a blank Word document or new Word document and paste this data analysis result from DeepSeek. Okay, so this is the section that you need to read through. Okay, only this part here. Right. So read through this one and then use this one to compose your paragraphs. So when you write your discussion part of your report, make sure the paragraphs must be in your own words and cite any research literature that you use in your report. Make sure you cite that one so that whatever you discuss here, you try to link it to previous research. Okay. So make sure most of the work is yours and not leaving the entire work to the AI to do the report for you. So you only collaborate with the generative AI tool to get ideas, and then from there you expand it and make sure most of the input is your own and not depending on the generative AI tool to do majority of the work. Okay, with that, I hope you learned something from this tutorial and you can be able to collaborate effectively with generative AI. So you can use any AI tool for this particular part of the research. So you can use DeepSeek like what I'm doing here. You can use ChatGPT, you can use Claude or any other Gen AI tool that you feel comfortable in using. Okay, with that, all the best, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel so that it will motivate me to continue creating more videos on collaboration with AI. Okay, with that, thank you once again.